Welcome. You're watching The Retirement Architect, and I'm Mark Henry, your co-host, and I'm joined today, of course, with David Reyes. I'm so excited to be on this show. I know I'm not your normal co-host,
right.
So for the viewers that have watched for many, many months and years, that's not me. But when I heard that you needed a co-host, I wanted to jump in and fill in because I'm really excited to be with you today.
I appreciate it, Mark. I really do.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. If you're new to the show and you haven't watched before, this is going to be a lot of fun. And you say, really, retirement? It's going to be fun? Well, it should be. That's the plan. That's the architect. We have the architect right here of the blueprint. But when I say it's going to be fun, this is an unscripted show. And literally, I have David's name and all. I knew that. And then I have a blank page in case I need to take some notes. But we don't have a script, do we, David?
No.
We're really just going to talk about some difficult subjects.
Yep.
Some information that needs to be out there to help people create a confident financial future. So I want to jump right in. You focus, it seems like, and again, I've studied you and known about you for quite a while, but it seems like you focus in a very specialized area of financial and retirement. Would that be a fair statement?
Absolutely. I think you've kind of honed it down. This is my 25th year in the business, so wow.
It's impressive.
I'll be big 54 pretty soon here. Got my COVID shot, so I'm ready to go.
Yeah, I have mine. I'm good, right? We're ready.
Arm hurts a little bit, but that was great. I really have always worked in the retirement income planning arena for my whole career. That's all I've ever done.
You just became a specialist in that one market.
Just when I got hired, I was in the mortgage banking industry for several years, all the way through college as a mortgage broker, actually.
Okay.
Parents couldn't afford it, so I did. And then was either going to go to law school or become an advisor, and met a good guy, and became a partner of mine for many years, and was my mentor, and that's what they did. We specialized in the teacher market, in working with educators, college professors, and teaching about state teachers' retirement systems and public employee retirement systems. And really, because they had pension plans, unfortunately less than 10% of Americans do, we dealt around concepts of pension maximization. How do we maximize our pension? So really taking that concept of creating lifetime income streams for people that they can't outlive, and really applied that to money management, to other types of investment strategies. And really, we have a saying, we want to have the most amount of income with the least amount of risk and never run out of money. Want the most amount of income, least amount of risk, and never run out of money. So that's just what I do every day. This is my job.
That's just your wheelhouse.
That's what I do. That's it.
Well, and that seems maybe an oversimplification of what you do, but to me, that helps me understand. Because when I think of my own self, when I retire one day, I'm no longer going to be working and being paid, right?
Yep.
But I still have to pay taxes.
Yep.
And I want to stay retired for the rest of my life. So I need one thing. I need income.
So you want to retire once, right? Not two times.
Just once. Just once. I had someone tell me once that what retirement really is being unemployed and staying that way forever.
That's right.
And that's exactly what I want to do when I retire. And I think the people watching feel that way. So you said several things that I caught when you were talking there. I want to start with this idea of income, because when I look at my own personal financial statements, I can't find one place on there where it tells me how much I can withdraw and not run out.
Yep.
So tell me about that. Let's start with income.
Yeah, it's amazing when you look at the big boxes or the big institutions, and money management. You cannot do you can't invest a client's money in a vacuum. You can't do it. What about Social Security? What about pensions? But the first thing is our clients have already kind of won the game. They have money. Most of our average age of our clients in their mid to late 60s.
Okay.
We have clients that are in their 50s, but that's older. Average. So our clients are either about to retire, let's say within 5 years, or retired.
Okay.
So we have to focus on asset preservation and income. And when you manage money, if you go to a big institution, that's not the focus. The focus is on their pie chart and how much stocks and bonds you have, and that has nothing to do with retirement income planning. So we have to begin with the end in mind. The end is retirement, but the end really is the cash flow that's needed. So really, we're going to back in to what the best portfolio would be, least amount of risk, most amount of income, and never run out of money, what that portfolio is going to look like, but it's all going to be based upon cash flow. And so cash flow is going to be, cash is king. The cash flow is something that we have to have. And so it's just going to make a massive difference on how you manage a client's money. It's never going to be what they come to us with, and nor should it be. Well,
David, that makes me think that this is not a one-size-fits-all cookie-cutter plan then.
Not at all. It can't be.
Because everybody's going to come with different needs or wants or desires and different asset levels. Is that correct?
Yep.
So how do I see then these big box retail firms that produce this, if they even have any kind of a plan, which they don't, it's typically statements, and you watch and you know this. But the ones that do, they give this like one page. Is your blueprint a one-page plan?
No, it can be as much or little as you want, but no, it's pretty. The nice part about it's very functional. It's like it's kind of the least amount of information for the most amount of. We don't want to give them a dictionary.
So it's not going to overload them.
No, it's just going to be right to the point. We use a lot of spreadsheets and basic
like
stuff.
But like a pie chart in like a 70% success rate, that's not a plan, is it?
No. And unfortunately, because most of it is just a race against time. If you go to a Schwab or a Fidelity, whatever it is, you go on their retirement planner, and all they're doing is spending down your capital. That's all it is, right? So that's a problem.
But it seems like retirement, like I've worked, a lot of these people watching have worked, 25, 30, 35 years.
Yep.
Aren't they going to want more than that?
Yeah, here's the amazing part, Mark, is most people don't realize there's more out there. And a lot of what I do, the first thing is the diagnostic. What do you got? And then having to teach people, it can take 2 meetings just to go through what somebody has and explain to them what's a mutual fund, what's an ETF, what's the stock, understanding, the more and more I do this, the more and more basic I have to become, and for the client's benefit. And I have to remind myself all the time of that because I say, this is for you, not for me. Right. And so in doing that, there's so many opportunities. We use all asset classes. We use real estate. We use annuities. We use stocks. We use funds. And we do that on purpose because there's different pieces of a puzzle that can fit for that client. Some clients want all guaranteed, products. They don't want to have any losses. Some don't want any. Some love real estate. So we built the firm over 25 years of just appeasing the clients. But the key ingredient is we want to reduce risk. We want income. So we use guaranteed lifetime income products. We use real estate as an asset class. We use dividend stocks. A lot of things we do are cash flow driven, right? And so, believe it or not, most people have never even seen a dividend portfolio. I mean, honestly, they don't have any idea. The average yield, if you look at somebody who has a balanced portfolio of stocks and bonds, Mark, the average yield is about 1.5%. That's what it is.
How's that going to keep up with
for every
inflation?
client. If you can. For the first time ever, Mark, we actually have negative yield interest rates. Right now, inflation is a lot higher than this. They say it's 2%. It's really probably about 3 or 4.
Aren't there several things that aren't even calculated into that? Because I know when I go to the gas pumps I'm filling, home prices
are not included.
I assure you, home prices have gone up. I don't know where you live or watching right now, but you know as well as I do, your home's worth more today than it was yesterday. Yeah,
I looked at some of the eggs 2 years ago. I think were $2.60 a carton, and now they're $3.80. Okay, so that's not 1 or 2% inflation.
No, that's not.
So the problem is that most people just own stocks and bonds. They have what I call the baby boomer portfolio. We'll talk more about that because it's important.
I'd like to.
And I've named it that because it's like everybody has the same portfolio. It's the baby boomer portfolio.
I absolutely want to talk about that. We're going to have to go to break.
No
Do you mind if we do this?
I would love to.
Now listen, with David's permission, we're going to go ahead and open the phone lines. Is that okay?
Perfect.
All right. This is important. Here's a number. It's on your screen, but I want you to write this down. 866-739-3775. Again, that number is 866-739-3775. David and his team of advisors have agreed to take the next 10 callers, and they will sit down with you. If you've saved, let's say, $250,000 or more for retirement, this is for you. They will sit down and help you build your very own retirement plan blueprint. How about that? Let's do a blueprint, because he is the architect. Let's do a blueprint of your retirement, where you're at and where you're going. This is 100% complimentary, without any obligations. If you've saved $250,000 or more, this is for you. I guess there is one obligation. You're going to have to do this for us right now. Pick up the phone and call 866-739-3775. Stay tuned. We've got a whole lot more coming up with David Reyes and, of course, the retirement architect.
How confident are you in your current financial plan? Do you know with certainty how the recent market volatility will affect your future hopes and dreams? How much are you paying in taxes? And how much are you losing to unnecessary high fees? You didn't work to save this money so that you could spend your time worried in retirement. Now is the time to take charge of your finances so you can feel confident about your future. Call in during the next 30 minutes of today's show only to set up an absolutely complimentary, no obligation, full-blown financial review that will result in your own customized written plan. This is a $999 value that we're giving away complimentary to the first 10 people who respond. We'll start with a full-blown analysis of what you already have. By running a report to untangle how much you are currently paying in fees, how you're allocated for risk, and what it's costing to work with your current advisor. Next, we'll identify your goals. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Where do you want to go, and who do you hope to go there with? Is your current financial plan set up to get you there without mishap? Let's design a roadmap to create a financial plan you can follow with confidence. Get the piece that so many people are missing from their retirement. Find out how having a written plan can make a difference to your retirement dreams. Call now to schedule your complimentary, no-obligation, full-blown financial review today.
Welcome back to the Retirement Architect. I'm your co-host, Mark Henry, but that means we're joined with David Reyes himself. He's actually the Retirement Architect. And I just love that because in the previous segment, if you haven't been watching, you should have been. But in the previous segment, there's a couple notes I made because it's the first time I've actually done a show with you. And I'm making notes for myself. But you talked about this blueprint, this architect, this plan that you build. But you said you go way out in the future and then reverse engineer it back to now. And that struck me as brilliant. I don't know. It just seems like, why wouldn't everybody be doing this like this? So it seems like what everybody's doing is something you told me about at the end of the segment. I want to get back into it.
Yeah.
But what in the heck is a boomer replan?
a boomer portfolio, right?
Boomer portfolio. Tell me what that is.
You know, it's funny because I try to stay away from lingo as much as I can in our industry, and it's horrible. Barriers, language create barriers, whether you're a lawyer, a doctor, an advisor. So I try to do the best I can with that. And I caught myself over time saying 60-40 portfolio. Believe it or not, nobody knows what the heck that is except people in the industry.
Correct.
Basically, that's 60% stock, 40% bonds.
Okay.
And I've now called that the boomer portfolio, right? And people go, okay, what's the boomer portfolio, right? That begs a question. And basically, that's what every firm pretty much does is they're going to use stocks and bonds. That's the only two asset classes that they use. We use multiple. We use more than that. You need that to diversify risk and create income.
Sure.
But the fact is that most clients have a 50-60% stock and 40 to 50% bond portfolio. The problem with that, most people know what a target date fund is. And they say, okay, target date 2020. There's a great report. I'm going to start giving it to clients. I just read it last week. And it basically analyzed what they do. I already knew what they did because I've studied it, but it was in writing by Vanguard. It's pretty interesting. And basically what happens once the target date fund at target date, so let's say it's 2020 to go a little past.
Sure.
Is that will go to from 60-70% stocks, let's say in 2010, 2015, to 50-50 at the target date. Does that make sense?
So now they're sitting with, if I'm correct, 50% in the equity side.
Yep.
And 50% in the bond side.
Correct. And then every year after, for the next 7 years, it'll drop down to 30% stock and 70% bond.
Okay.
And I can tell you that's catastrophe.
Well, I'm just thinking, and again, I have a little knowledge on this subject, but during COVID, at one point, wasn't the bond market falling almost as fast as the equity market?
Yeah, it was. And
but wasn't the idea behind a boomer portfolio, I want to get it right, 60-40.
Yeah.
Wouldn't the idea be, isn't that supposed to be a moderate portfolio? The 60% side during a bad market might be seeing losses, but I was told it worked like a, what is that called? A teeter-totter.
That's right.
So shouldn't the 40% side be trying to help me recover for when I'm losing on the 60?
Yep.
Did that happen during COVID?
No. In fact, during times of market stress, everything falls. Gold, stocks, bonds, just because there's a sell-all button, kind of. There's a margin call is what it's called, really, but everybody sells every asset. And so you will have times where stocks and bonds fall together, and they have a lot in the last year. In fact, long-term Treasury bonds were down as much as 25% from the peak like in August.
That doesn't seem like that's a moderate portfolio all of a sudden.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Bonds are actually, almost any type of bond this year is down year to date, anywhere from 2 to 3% to 10%.
Wow.
And so, talk about a drag on a portfolio.
Right.
So it's hidden a lot, Mark, when markets are rising especially. But if you have a balanced portfolio of stocks and bonds, you're not making any money. Because the stock market's up, in the high single digits, and you've got bonds that are flat to down, and some are down significantly.
And so all of a sudden, your moderate portfolio might even be losing money.
That's right. But
aren't we I think we're kind of in a pretty good market right now, aren't we?
Well, I just did an analysis of a client was basically a little less than 50% stock and 50% bonds and cash, and they were up less than 1% year to date. This was last week. because the bonds had dragged so
portfolio
far down. They owned longer-term Treasury bonds. We don't need to get into that, but the point was they were more volatile. But the reality is a lot of people own those types of asset classes. So, and the problem also with that, Mark, is that the income that's generated from that back again is about 1.5%. And so not only is it not going to satisfy us when the markets are rising, but when the markets are falling, as you greatly pointed out,
so
that's not helped either.
I don't want to use the depressing word, but this kind of seems depressing because I think people watching, most of them, if they even know what they have some kind of a 60-40 type portfolio. A lot of them do anyway. Some version of that or target date fund or whatever. So what's the answer here? I mean, how can this be fixed?
When I say it's easy, it's just what I've done. I haven't used really bonds as a major asset class for a while because interest rates since 2008 have been 2% in that range, 2 to 3%.
So they don't make sense, do
right?
They?
So they've made money on the capital appreciation side.
Have you seen bond portfolios coming in with a much higher degree of junk bonds in them?
Yep.
Which is kind of beats
crazy.
But they're taking on more risk.
That's right.
Because the returns are so low.
The yields are higher, so they take them. Well, junk bonds is basically a junk bond. It's below investment grade.
Right.
So it might pay 4%, but the problem is you have a lot more stock market risk in that portfolio. So
So you're still limiting, but it's just I've heard that that's happening a lot now.
It is.
So when people come to see you for this first time, after you do the analysis and you start to show them what they have, how often when they come in the first time, do they really know why they're invested the way they are?
No idea. It's what they're told. And it's across the board. And I hate saying that, but no. Yeah, I think a lot of it is just it's overwhelming for most people, And again, as I've gotten older and older and done this longer and longer, I've found I have to be more empathetic about that and much more take the time to get them to kind of like 101. What's a mutual fund? What's in it? Why do they own the bond? So it does take longer. That's okay. We have to educate a client.
You'll take the time to do that.
I mean, we spend 3, 4, 5 meetings with clients. It's just what's required. I would say 3 meetings is a minimum. 5 it depends how complicated things are.
I think, for some people watching, they might say, oh, gosh, 3 million.
Yeah.
But to me, that's refreshing because, again, you're a fee-based, correct?
Yes, sir.
So they're coming in and they're being able to get educated to learn. You're not coming in on the first meeting and tell them to sell this and buy that.
No.
You're going to educate them on what they own and what's the advantages, disadvantages, and what it means to them. What does it really mean to them?
Yep.
And so if that does take 2 or 3 meetings, I would love that because I feel like I'd be getting the knowledge to, is this the right word, control my financial future?
Absolutely. Because
Why
they don't
would
feel
everybody want that?
Well, I hope they do. I mean, that's the point, right?
I think they don't know, though. Is that right? They just don't know.
It's the things that it's the old saying. It's not what we know that we don't know, so we don't know that we don't know.
They're telling me we got to go to phone lines. Listen, let's open these phone lines, David. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, phone lines are open. You heard David say it himself. Phone number to call, 866-739-3775. Again, 866-739-3775. 3775. Phone lines are open. If you've saved $250,000 or more for retirement, and more is always better, that's for sure. This is for you. It's an opportunity to come and sit down and get completely a full-blown comprehensive financial review, a financial blueprint from the architect himself. And it's absolutely 100% complimentary with no obligations. Next 10 callers, you have nothing to lose and everything to gain. You know you need it. You know to deserve it. It's time to get it. Call now, 866-739-3775. We've got more coming up with the retirement architect himself, David Reyes. Stay tuned.
As a good saver, you've been putting away money during your working years. Studies find that the biggest fear of retirees is running out of money. Market volatility isn't just the downward movement of stock prices, it's the size and frequency of change. The more dramatic the ups and downs, the higher the volatility. This can put savers who are newly retired or a few years away from being retired at greater risk. Today's generation of retirees is not receiving traditional pensions as our parents or grandparents did. Instead, we have retirement accounts such as 401ks or 403bs. These accounts typically expose your money to market risk. The last thing you want right before retirement is to lose a portion of the money you need for income. But how do you turn these accounts into a retirement income? Is it safe to keep all your retirement money sitting in the stock market? The last thing you want is to lose a portion of the money you need for income due to market loss. By working with a financial professional, you can learn how to turn a portion of your savings into an income stream for life and income for the life of your spouse if you're married. We all have moments in our lives when we wish we had taken action sooner. Don't let procrastination reign on your retirement parade. Act now before it's too late. Please call our office to set up your no-cost, no-obligation retirement income review today.
Welcome back to the Retirement Architect, and that means, of course, I'm your co-host, Mark Henry, and I'm joined with David Reyes, the architect himself. David, I am having a blast. This has been fun. I'm so glad I took the invitation to come join you and do this show with you. Your current co-host was out, but I've learned a lot. But I got to tell you, I like to try to think is what the consumer, the person sitting on the couch is thinking about. And I can't put myself in all your living rooms right now as you're watching and know what you're thinking. But I know what I would be thinking. This sounds really good. I would like to have this blueprint. I would like to know what I'm currently doing and understand what I'm currently doing better. But what would you say in your words? What is it like when they come in? Because I'd be nervous. I'm just telling you, I'm not a nervous guy, but I'd be nervous.
Yeah, I know you're not a nervous guy, but yeah, no, I get it, and we're very conscientious about that. I mean, it's kind of like being naked. You know, you're coming in, and you know what mistakes did I make? What
right.
You know, I would say if you're coming in and you've saved for retirement, and you've done a pretty good job, you've done your job. Now it's kind of our job to help you get to the next, kind of pass the baton, so to speak. Whether we help you or not, you know, somebody, you know, most people need to have somebody that's an expert in retirement income planning specifically,
right?
That's been on, you know, our tagline is "You retire once, we retire every day," and it's true. Yeah. We've been places that they've not been.
Right, and you've seen things with
absolutely.
a 25+ year career that they haven't seen.
Yep, and survived it. Yes.
You know, before COVID, and I guess COVID's leaving, and so it's probably going to come back. Most people in your city could have eaten out if they were 50 years old or older. Right. They could have had a steak dinner 4 or 5 nights a week, and you know you've received those things in the mail. When they come in, do they get steak dinners?
No.
That's not you, is it?
No, they're going to get a lot of advice, and I always promise them you're going to learn things you never knew that you didn't know, and I think that's the most valuable. And not just to learn new things, is these are things that are impactful and can change your financial trajectory. It
seems refreshing to me, though, that they're coming in and they're not being sold something.
Yep.
I mean, I can say this. I think they can leave their checkbook at home because they don't know they want to work with you, and you don't take everybody. Is that true?
No. We it's a serious. We're fiduciaries, you talked about, and what that means is, you know, we have a legal standard of care, a duty to basically, you know, it's the prudent man rule. What you know, do as I would do unto you, right? And so the fact is that when you have that kind of responsibility, I got to make sure that my partner, my client, that is basically a partner, is for sure has to be for our sake, because we have the liability if something goes sideways, which that's not what we're here to do.
But David, I think from a standpoint of watching right now, I'd be like, okay, this seems real, and I know it is real. That's why I came to do the show with you.
Yep.
But so when they come in, describe that first meeting. What's it going to feel like? What's going to happen?
Conversation. So
Cookie, maybe? Coke?
Cookie and Coke.
Okay, no steak dinners.
Well, we're big on the candy. Everybody loves our chocolate, our candy. So
okay, there you go.
We don't do the cookies. We do the candy, but that's,
there you go.
That's replaced daily. So
there you go.
Don't worry, it won't go anywhere.
Right.
But we have great staff, seasoned staff. We're a family business. My wife is a CPA. She runs the company. She's also an advisor.
Well, that's incredible to have that.
And so I'm very blessed to have that. Just our you can't pay somebody to care. Our staff cares. So number one, great staff from the first phone call. But we built kind of a spa, environment. Water features and light music and fun, just relaxing.
Right.
Because I tell them right out of the gate, we're not buying anything.
There's no high pressure.
We're just going to have a conversation because I have to see if I can really help.
Right.
Because if we can't add significant impact and value, then I won't have the client go through all the pain in the butt to go move money and do. I just won't do it.
Right.
So, typically most people do, but if it's just a few things that need to be changed, I'm going to say, here, do these 2 or 3 things. That's unusual. It does happen though.
Okay.
Sometimes I say, look, you know what, you're good. And so just having that peace of mind of a second opinion is what we really
That's exactly the word I was looking at, because I guess you'd like to think that your current advisor, you've had them 10 years or something maybe, and you'd like to think that they've done everything right. But at the end of the day, that's a hard standard, and especially when they're an accumulation advisor, one that only focuses on one part. And retirement is so much more than just the finance part.
Yep.
There's so much more to it. And so the idea that you have to be confident enough to just say, yeah, I'm coming in to get a second opinion.
Yep.
And that could be life-changing, for instance. I mean, literally, or it might just be, hey, I have done a good job, and I'm kind of headed where I want to go.
Yep.
I'm going to make a little tune-up here or there, and I'm going to head on. Is that right?
Yeah, it typically is. I would say the most challenging for clients is if really it's people that have never had an advisor. That's really, if somebody already has an advisor, I think it's a lot easier than if they've never had one. I think it's a lot more challenging for
if they've never had one.
Yeah,
Sure.
because they're looking at maybe paying for advice. They've never done that before, but
right.
and maybe they haven't been as educated in certain areas. So really, it's actually better for somebody. It's kind of like looking at a house, right? If you already if you already have a house and then you want to look at another house, you already experienced that. A first-time home buyer, that's harder. Right. Think of it that way. We're in this housing boom.
It's such a big commitment for them.
It is.
Correct.
So for the first time, I think it's more difficult. And I'm very conscientious of that, and it takes more time with somebody who hasn't had an advisor, and so that's a big difference, and so we were very cognizant of that.
David, I got to tell you, this is an awful lot that you offer. We got to get these phone lines open because we're running out of time. You're going to need to talk to the network about a longer time because I've got more questions, and I think the viewing audience does too. But right now, the most important thing that I would say is the phone lines are opening up now. And because the call volume has been so heavy, David, with your permission, can we keep them open for an extra hour after the show? Would that be okay?
Perfect.
All right. Listen, the call volume has been heavy. I know it has, but that's because you're watching and you need what David has. You may not want to change advisors. We didn't say that, but you need a blueprint. You need a retirement plan. You need it. Now's the time to get it. You got to pick up the phone right now, get off the couch, pick up the phone and dial 866-739-3775. Again, that's 866-739-3775. David's agreed to take the next 10 callers and his team. If you've saved $250,000 or more for retirement, that's a good start. And let's get in and get this plan that you know in your heart you deserve, you need. Get the second opinion. Step out and do what you need to do. Don't procrastinate. Let's call now, 866-739-3775. I hope you found the information useful and helpful today because that's exactly how David intended it. And I want you to again tune in next week on The Retirement Architect with David Reyes. And David, thanks for having me on the show today.
Thanks for being here, Mark. Appreciate it. Thank you.